Hello, I'm going to explain right now the summary of the reading Seven Keys to Effective Feedback by Wiggins. My name is Georgina Arguello, and this is for the class Assessment of Learning from UMass Lowell. So, first, I'm going to explain or ask the question: is feedback a good thing? Well, according to Wiggins, feedback is going to be a powerful influencer on achievement. It's going to help enhance performance and achievement, and formative assessment is going to play an important role in the feedback process. So, what exactly is feedback? Well, Wiggins tells us that feedback are going to be the comments made after the fact. It's going to include advice, praise, and evaluation, and also it's information about how we are doing when we are trying to accomplish our goal. Wiggins also tells us that less teaching and more feedback, it's going to be equal to better results. What do you believe about this statement? I do think that sometimes if we provide more feedback, more detailed feedback, and more consistent feedback, and we do less teaching, probably students are going to be able to improve. Wiggins mentions seven keys or seven essentials of feedback, and these are the characteristics. First, feedback is going to be goal referenced, it's going to be tangible and transparent, it's going to be actionable, specific and personalized, timely, ongoing, and consistent. Wiggins shares different examples, for example, of how coaches do in sports events, or how performers also do and how they like to get feedback. For example, if they have a goal of producing a joke, how the audience can provide feedback by laughing or not laughing. So that's an example of goal reference. The goal of a performer, it's basically to make the audience laugh or cry, and if they don't see this happening, they're not getting the feedback they should go. So what does goal reference means also? It's when a person needs to have a goal, take action to achieve it, and receives goal-oriented information about their actions. The example I presented could be a good one. Also, the information becomes feedback if it tells me I am on the right track or not. Also, coaches, sport coaches, for example, in basketball or in baseball, when they provide consistent feedback, if they're telling their players, okay, you're doing good, or you have to do this, or as a team, or you're missing this, or you're missing that, that consistent feedback, it's telling them if they're on the right track or not. And us as teachers, it's very important that we also follow this goal referenced feedback model. Then tangible and transparent, what does this mean? Well, feedback is going to acquire tangible results related to the goal, and Wiggins recommends video or audio recordings also because they're going to help us perceive things differently. And I have an example for this one. For instance, I asked my students to submit some of their assignments through Turnitin, which Turnitin is a software to check for similarity indexes. So once they submit their assignment to Turnitin and a report is generated, it tells me if it has a low similarity index or a high similarity index. So for those papers that have a high similarity index, I create a video recording similar to this one, where I direct the students to the specific areas that they need to improve. A highlighted section is produced, and I tell them how to paraphrase and how to go to this page and make sure to paraphrase. The report comes with certain numbers, so I tell them this number needs to be paraphrased, or this number has identical information, so just make sure that you paraphrase doing this and this and that. And that's a good way that students improve their similarity index reports. Then feedback needs to be actionable. What does this mean? That effective feedback is going to be concrete, specific, and useful. It's going to provide actionable information. Also, it's going to be sufficiently descriptive. It's going to offer neutral, goal-related facts. And finally, it's going to provide us with what went wrong and what went right. So it's important that when we are providing feedback, we tell students, the areas of improvement, the areas also where they did a good job, and kind of use the sandwich method where we praise and we make the correction and then we praise again the student. User friendly. What does this mean? That too much or too little feedback, it's going to be counterproductive. Also focus on one or two key elements. And also feedback needs to yield immediate and noticeable improvement. Ongoing feedback. Feedback needs to be ongoing, and in this ongoing feedback, formative assessments are going to provide these opportunities to be giving ongoing feedbacks. Whereas if we just do summative assessments, then the feedback, it's only going to be too late. And I can remember in this case for summative assessments in some classes when I was doing my bachelor's degree or in some subject areas in high school, I recall that we only had like one quiz at the end of the month, and that would be our summative assessment for that month or that term. So if I did bad in that exam, then there was no coaching or any area that I could improve because I had to wait until the end. Also, the feedback, if results are not optimal, then it can help reshape the performance to achieve a goal. So this is, for example, again, Wiggins shares with us examples about the performers and the sports people where they can see their areas of improvement in the different games to be able to improve towards the goal of winning or making the audience feel happy. And finally, about ongoing feedback, it's important that the more feedback received in real time, the performance will be better. And again, in the example that they provide about feedback in real time is a performer where they can see immediately if they made the audience laugh or not. So, it's important to see that way when we provide feedback to our students to relate it to that example. Finally, feedback has to be consistent. What does this mean? Well, rubrics play an important role to maintain this objectivity and this consistency. Also, feedback needs to be consistent and useful, and feedback needs to be stable, accurate, and trustworthy. So finally, we always need to keep in mind that feedback helps us to progress towards a goal. Gear feedback to long-term goals. Feedback needs to be descriptive, and ongoing feedback is going to allow us to improve our results, which is our end goal. As conclusion, I would like to say that feedback is not the same as advice. We need to ensure that the learner has grasped and accepted the feedback. And for this, I would like to share an example. When I provide feedback to my students in their capstone course, since it's a lot of pages that I have to read and provide feedback, I use the comment feature and the track changes feature in Word. And for example, for the comment section, I make that the students reply to each individual comment saying agreed or made changes or corrected with a little note like that. And then I go back to, the highlighted part of the comment, and then I make sure that they make the change. And this way I notice that they address all the feedback I have provided as well. It's easier for me. Instead of reading the whole pages and finding some other errors, I can just focus on the ones I have previously made. Also, learners become dependent on experts' advice. And also we need to keep in mind that feedback is not the same as evaluation and grades. The other parts help with the feedback, but it's not the same. So that's something that we need to be clear of. And here's a reference of the reading, which is the author is Wiggins, and this is the website where it was retrieved. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.